We're doing really good at it. We're getting better at this.
Yeah.
We're rolling.
Hi, I am Dave Isbell, and this is Lisa Parker. We are your Alumni Career Services team at Michigan State University. And today, I think we want to talk about this idea of return on investment for your career. So when you think about investing in your career, Lisa, what's that make you think of?
I think it makes me think that it sounds expensive. You know, we know that there are a growing number of ways that we can enrich ourselves professionally. Maybe we go back and get our master's. Maybe we take a Dale Carnegie course. And there's a lot of dollar signs associated with some of those decisions. And it's a tough call to make. It does seem to be important to be looking at how we're developing ourselves. I think the economic downturn taught a lot of people how important it is to be ready for whatever may come next. Now, in the down economy, what came next was a forced decision that, okay, this chapter of your life is done for the time being. But we also see more and more people that are getting that urge to do something more satisfying. They have a job, but are they able to make the switch with the skills that they have? So what are you seeing in terms of people struggling about professional development?
I think a lot of times when people come to me, the first thing they're asking is, should I go to grad school? And my answer almost invariably is no, unless you want to go crazy.
Oh, that's a good answer.
No, I am a proponent of grad school, of education itself. I love school, but I feel like until you've done some soul searching and also some kind of the logical elements of looking at the occupational path and the trajectory what you might have, I don't think someone should take that lightly. A lot of people think that going back to school will get them a different career. That's not always the case. I mean, you may prepare for the career that you think you wanted to get into. You might get into it. You might hate it more than the thing you just left.
Oh.
And now you're left with 60 grand, 80 grand, 100 grand of debt on top of it. And you're kind of stuck. So I think there's other ways to develop yourself. It doesn't have to come just from, tuition-based schooling. Like I said, I'm an advocate, and I think people should get as much education as they possibly can get. But at the same time, go into it with a different mindset. If you're going to go to school, it's really about personal enrichment. It's really about professional development. It's about gathering the skills that you need, or maybe the credentials. It's not just to get a different job. Or a lot of people in the past couple of years are going back to school because they couldn't find a job.
Yeah.
That could be worse because you get on the outset and you're too schooled but not experienced enough.
Well,
and that's a bad place to be.
I would qualify that a little bit more because you keep stating the importance of higher ed and how much you value it. And I don't want anybody to get confused by the message that you're saying. It's not bad for people who have lost their job to go back to school and to develop themselves. But when we're in a situation where we're just doing it as a reaction to something, where we haven't really explored what that additional bank of knowledge makes us qualified to do, when maybe we haven't even taken the time to reach out to fellow Spartans who are in the fields that we're thinking about moving to see what those fields are like and what tools they feel people who are interested in fulfilling those types of functions need to have, that's a scary investment to make. And it's a good thing that education, some forms of education have those types of price tags associated with it, because it may force people to think a little bit more carefully about, do I really want to do this?
Yeah.
Is this something I'm going to enjoy?
Well, right, that's what the return on investment is, not just economics.
Yeah.
You could possibly get into a higher paying job because you got some education or more education, but maybe you may have sacrificed, maybe the sacrifice was too great for what you actually end up with, So I'm always trying to look at what's the thing that's going to bring you joy. So if you've got to pay a bunch of money to get into another occupation and you need the credentials to go to school, and you fall into that place and that's the right fit, and you aren't making maybe as much money as you wanted, and you've got some student loan debt, but you're more joyful, and you can live a lifestyle that's again not as extravagant as before, I think you won.
Yeah.
Because you found your joy, even though your lifestyle isn't as big.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, if you find that you can't even eat after you've graduated, I mean, it's kind of hard to be joyful when you can't you don't know how you're going to make ends meet because now you kind of got all this schooling. And I see a lot of people doing that to themselves.
Right.
And they just didn't weigh both the kind of intrinsic benefits and the extrinsic.
Well, and I would say leading to taking it in a different direction, for individuals who aren't taking an active role in developing themselves. And developing could be additional coursework, participating in professional organizations, and the choices of what books they pick up to read at night before going to bedtime. I think we need to challenge people to say, if you're not growing as a person, professionally and personally, you're the one who has to take responsibility for that. There was a time when our employers did it for us to a greater extent than they do now, and some employers still are investing in their employees to develop them, but in many times that development relates directly to what that employer needs that person to be, not necessarily what that person wants to be in that moment and beyond. And so the time is now to take ownership in your own development, and there are countless number of ways that you can do that, whether it's through going back to school, what you're doing online, what you're reading. There really doesn't seem to be an excuse right now to not be growing as a person.
Right, and I would piggyback on that. When you think about professional development, too many people think about their career, their job. But I really think that personal enrichment it's a part of that. It's just part of like just feeling good with who you are and enjoying your family, and like that's the whole thing like behind a sabbatical. So you get to this point where like you kind of reached a plateau and you just need to break away. Most of us don't work in occupations where we can take a year off to go, travel on a research project or something, but do something different. You take a different route home to work, or home from work, or you read a different kind of book that you hadn't read before. You go to a party with people that you've never met in a different circle. They could be little things. It could be, I don't know, being your kid's little league coach or whatever it is. It's a part of becoming a person that is well-rounded, and you made that investment in yourself, and that pays off professionally because you kind of have developed the character that needs to be kind of on the inside to be able to really be productive on the outside, I guess.
And by stretching yourself voluntarily, you're exposing yourself to information that could make it easier for you to decide alternatives for you in your life. I'm not an artistic person by any stretch, and I usually avoid artsy type things, or I had, and now being part of the Michigan State community, that's hard to do. And I've been to the Broad Modern Art Museum, and you know what? I love it. I'm listening to musicians. I'm looking for artworks and sculptors and painters, and it resonates with me. I'm never going to be an artist, but I have a perspective that I wouldn't have had before, and maybe somewhere down the road I'm going to do something with it. So we'll see.
Exactly, and I think it's more about. I used the analogy earlier with somebody that if you have a really strong bicep and you want to work out. I don't really have strong biceps. But if you have a really strong bicep and that's your strongest muscle, then you want to accentuate that muscle. You want to keep using that muscle. So you want, not to say that you don't want your triceps to be worked on, but you don't focus completely on your triceps. You focus on your triceps to strengthen your biceps.
Okay.
So that you don't just try to get better at the thing you're not good at.
Yeah.
You put a lot of investment in the thing that you are naturally good at. You strengthen that, and you only strengthen the things that are kind of your weaknesses to augment and strengthen your strengths. I think a lot of people go in the other direction. I'm not good at whatever this is, so I got to keep working at it.
I'm not good at public speaking.
Yeah, so I got to keep working at it and keep working at it. And employers often drive that. They kind of push their folks to be better at the things they're not good at instead of capitalizing on their strengths. And so that's a failed return on your investment, because it's just not going to ever pay off for you. I mean, you are never going to be the next Van Gogh, but it doesn't mean you couldn't take a painting class and enjoy it.
You're right.
And so I think it's all about a matter of perspective and trying to kind of strive toward your joy, and that will help you to have the right kind of return on investment that you might be looking for.
All right. Well, thanks for those thoughts.
All right, thank you.
All right.